What's up, guys? Welcome to your 31st Android tutorial for the new Boston, and we are going to work with this new basically command that we're checking for called where's the fridge. And what we're going to use is something called a random, basically so we can get some random input, make our application kind of unique. So within these brackets we are going to just set up a random variable, and again we got to define the type just like any other time we define a variable, and it's going to be of the random class. So we're going to say random, and we're going to call this variable crazy, because when things get random it just gets crazy. And all we have to do is say new random and then two parentheses and finish our statement. Now we can refer to this and it's going to know it's a random object, and we can just basically set up some parameters of like if we want a random integer, which would be a random number, etc. So now what we're going to do is define some methods within this WTF, where's the fridge, and again we're just going to set the display, or set the text I should say, to WTF, oops, something like that. Next thing we want to do is maybe change the text size. So again we can just say display dot set text size, and here's where the beauty comes in, because we can just say, you know, like 10, something like that, 50, but instead we can just do refer to our random variable that we set up called crazy. So we're going to say crazy dot, and this is how you set up kind of the parameters that you want it to randomly select. So we're going to work with an integer. So we're going to say random integer, and then we're going to tell it how many numbers we want it to choose from. So basically, let's say a good text size would be 75. So this will choose anywhere from, like, you know, 1 through 75, or give us 75 choices. It's just going to randomly pick one. So that kind of sets up a random display, or a random size. And we can also do, you know, display, just to kind of review and show you guys how you can use the random. Again, just get kind of familiar with it. So we're going to say set text color, and within here we're going to refer to the color class, and we're going to hit dot, and this time we're going to use this RGB down here. So as you can see, it takes a red, a green, a blue. If you guys are familiar with like Photoshop, or, you know, working with colors on computers, you know that basically you can have a value up to 265 or 266, something like that, for each of these, and then it's going to kind of mix those, the red, the green, and the blue together to get your desired color. So again, we're just going to kind of use a random for each one of these. So we're going to say crazy dot next, oops, next int, and then we're going to give it within the parameters 265. I believe that's how many color options there are. Then we're just going to copy this for the green and also the blue as well. So it's just going to kind of give us a random mixture of colors each time. So yeah, I mean, that's how we can use the random. And in the next, I mean, we're basically done with the tutorial, like I said, or with this application. But I am going to show you, there's probably going to be 2 more tutorials just showing you guys another kind of Java thing that we can use. It's going to be pretty important, called the switch in case. And then also after the tutorial after that, I'm going to kind of break down some things we can do in Java as well. And then we're going to start building our new application. So I'll catch you guys then. Have a good one. What's up, guys? Welcome to your 32nd Android tutorial. We're going to play with this text play for the most part. Activity. I know it's kind of boring because, you know, text is no fun for the most part. But we're going to work within this where's the fridge checking statement, and we're going to set up something called a switch in case. Now this is going to be pretty important for a lot of things that we're going to do. Basically what a switch in case is we're going to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. That's called the switch, that question for the most part. And then we're going to have a lot of answers, and those are called cases. So if we have a case of a certain answer, we can do something within that method. For the most part, it's kind of hard to explain without showing you guys, so let's just set it up. We're going to say switch And within the switch, we're going to give it three choices. So we're going to say, either 0, 1, 2. Basically, those could be our answers. So the question is, for the most part, what number are you? And how we're going to do that is we're going to again use our random variable that we set up. So we're going to say crazy.nextInt, and then we're going to say 3. So that's going to give us three choices, and then we just need to set up a new pair of brackets, hit enter, and now we can set up our cases. But again, this is just going to give us a random number for the most part, and the number is going to have basically three choices, or three things that it can choose from. But the number is actually that it's going to display is 0, 1, and 2. So as you can see, those are three numbers, and that's what we're going to set up our cases to be. So basically, we're giving it a random number, and now we can set up a case. So we're going to say case 0, because if we get a random and it's equal to 0, we can do whatever is within here. And then we're going to hit a break statement. And then we can say case 1, and then a colon, and then a break statement. And then we can also have, lastly, case 2, and again a break statement. Now basically it's going to give us a random number, and if we get the answer of 0, we can do whatever's in here, and then it's going to break our case, and it's not even going to look at anything else because it already found the 0. That's basically what the break is. And if it's 1, it's also going to do whatever within here, and 2, it's going to do whatever is within here. Sorry. And so now what we're going to do is basically have this crazy, just set our gravity. So we're just going to copy and paste some of these, such as set the gravity to left in the case 0, and then set the gravity to the center as for case 1, and set the gravity to the right for case 3, or case 2, I'm sorry, whoops, what's going on? Alright, and so basically that's what I wanted to show you guys in this tutorial is basically we can set up a switch where it's give us some choices to choose from, and then it looks for the answer, and we can define a method within there. And also the other thing that's important in this tutorial is this a random variable. When we put 3 here, we're still going to have 3 choices for the most part, but those choices aren't going to be 1, 2, 3, for example. They're going to always start at 0, so it's going to be 0, 1, 2. So now let's just save it and run our application and see what happens for the most part. And also maybe one last thing that we're going to do is set display.setColor here to let's see, I don't know, white I believe is the default, not positive. So there we go, we're gonna resave this. Set text color, I'm sorry. And then we're gonna save this and run it again. And there we go, here's our text play, and we can just say Travis, and we're going to get invalid, and let's just check some other things. We're going to say blue, and it's going to change your text to blue and also have it become blue. And then again, if we say something else, it's going to go back to the invalid. That's basically the last else in our if-else clause. And let's try our new method, where's the fridge? And then if we just keep clicking our try, it's going to kind of set it up in a random place, random color, random size, and random gravity for the most part. So hopefully you guys kind of understand the random and basically what this application can do and everything that we've done with it. I think it's a pretty good kind of introduction to the Java for the most part, and working with the text view and how to use some of those methods. So again, thanks guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next tutorial. Have a good one. What's up guys? Welcome to your 33rd Android tutorial for the new Boston, again with me, Travis. And what we're going to do in this tutorial is I'm going to introduce you guys to how to create a method within Java, because we're going to want to create some methods down the road. But in this basically this method that we're going to set up is just going to initialize all of our reference points from Java to the XML that we have set up here. So it's not really going to do anything new for our activity, but I just want to show you guys how we can set that up. And the first thing that we're going to do is define just our variable above our onCreate method, because this new method that we're going to use, we want to use these variables in both methods and make sure it's the same. So again, we're just going to go above the onCreate method and just set up our variables such as button. Make sure it's the exact same as you guys have it spelled in here within our onCreate method. And we're just going to set them up. So we're going to say button, and we're going to create a button check command. Toggle button was pass. What was it? Pass tog. And then edit text was input, and text view was called display. Now we're just going to delete basically the pre-identifier or the modifier and also the type, because we defined it up here. So basically the final is saying that it's going to be final within this method, since it's only used for one method, the onCreate method. We want both methods to have access to this variable, so we don't need to set it as final anymore. So we're just going to delete the modifier final again and the type for each of these variables. And it's pretty much going to do the same thing, but now what we want to do is create a method that's basically going to hold these four commands within there. So we're going to call this method whatever you guys want. Let's say like bacon and eggs. I don't know, just because I'm really hungry right now. And again, a method will use kind of parentheses afterwards. So that's how we're going to set up our method called bacon and eggs, even though it's kind of a terrible description of what the method's going to do, because it's basically just going to do these four things. But you know, it's a good way to kind of clean up your code within the onCreate method. And yeah, basically we're using this method called bacon and eggs, but we haven't set it up yet. So an easy way to create a method would just be to hover over it in Eclipse, and it says create the method bacon and eggs. So we're going to click that, and as you guys notice, down at the very bottom, after our onCreate method closes, there's this new method called bacon and eggs, and it's private void. Again, void basically means it's just a method, and it's going to return, well, just think of it as just being a method for the most part. And private is going to say, you know, it's accessible to this class for the most part. So again, instead of public, we could have there as well. So what we're going to do now is just copy or cut and paste this code right here where we set up those reference points to our XML, and we can just place it within this method that we just created called bacon and eggs. And now it's going to register all those basically bridges over to the XML. And so again, when our program starts, it's going to call this onCreate method, and then it's going to set the content view, and then it's going to be like, oh, bacon and eggs. It's not going to do anything below this bacon and eggs method until it calls the bacon and eggs method. And it's going to go shoot down here and be like, oh, what am I supposed to do? It's like, oh, okay, I'll do this real quick. And then it's going to shoot back up to this line of code and just continue onward. So I mean, it's not, obviously this didn't really change anything with our application, but I just wanted to show you guys, again, kind of emphasize the point that the final will have to be removed when we define it above our method onCreate, so it can be used within multiple methods, and as well as how to set up your own personalized method. And then the next tutorial we're going to get into another thing that we can do with Java is called implementing. We can implement a class, and I'll show you what that does. So again, thanks for watching, guys, and have a good day. What's up, guys? Welcome to your 34th Android tutorial for the new Boston, again with me, Travis. What we're going to do in this tutorial is I'm going to introduce you guys to what implementing means. And just for a minute, imagine an application that we set up, and it has a ton of buttons, and they're all going to be set clickable. So we're going to use this onClick method. And as you can see, we're setting our set onClick listener, And then basically just so we can use this on-click method, and you know, if we had like 20 buttons, this would be kind of tedious and boring to set it up this way, and as well as it adds a ton of code to our class. So basically we can clean this up by just having one on-click listen or on-click method and kind of defining what we want to do within there. So what we're going to do is we're going to scroll up to the top of our class, and it says extends activity, and again, when we extend a class, we can use some of the methods. But what we can also do is we can implement a class. So we're going to say implement, and you do that by saying implements, and then you say the class that we're going to implement. And again, we're going to implement the view on-click listener class, so we can basically use the method from that class. So again, we're just going to say view dot on-click listener. There we go. And basically it's giving us an error because anytime we implement something, we have to use all of the methods from that class. Again, when we extend something, we can use the methods from that class, but when we implement, we have to. So that's why it's giving us an error. So if we hover over a class name, it says add unimplemented methods. We're just going to click that, and then if we scroll down to our bottom, again, just kind of like when we set up a method in the last tutorial, it's going to create a new method for us right below that method, and it's called onClick. Basically, that's the same method as right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a switch in case to determine which button has been pressed. So again, this is just kind of a review on the switch in case, but this is also going to kind of introduce you guys to passing in data. I know we did this with our list view, but when this onClick method is called, it gives us which view was pressed. And again, like a button's a view, a text view is a view, all that stuff's a view. So what we can say is v, because they labeled this view, that's the data that they're giving us. For example, we could also say label it view because that's kind of just like a variable, and then we can reference that variable within these brackets. So we're going to say view and hit dot, and we're going to say get ID. And that's going to give us the ID that we set up in the XML of whatever view was pressed. And that's what we're going to look for, a switch in case, and then we're just going to hit set up a bracket, and we're going to set up two cases because we have two buttons. So we're going to say if the case is r.id. Button results, which was our our command button for the most part, we're going to do whatever is right here, and we're going to hit break. And if it was the case that, the case of r.id.toggle button password, we're going to do whatever is in here. Again, we set up a break to break the switch, and I'll leave this on for 1 second. Now all we're going to do is transfer our code that we set up within our onClick methods up above. So we have this is our check command, so we're just going to copy whatever we put in within this onClick method. So it's basically that string and all that other good stuff. Just copy that, and we're going to paste it below. And I grabbed one extra bracket, so you want to do it right here. Copy this, and again, this is for our results, so we're going to say v right there, and then we're just going to kind of delete it out of this onClick listener for the most part. And now it's going to pass in some information, and if it's the ID of basically our check command ID, it's going to do basically that onClick method that we just set up there. Then we're also going to do that with this onClick method as well. So we're just going to copy that or cut that and paste it for if our toggle button was pressed. And then we're just going to kind of clean up some of this code. And instead of doing a new view, we're going to just say, because it's looking for a onClick listener so we can use our onClick method. So now what we can do is we can type this. For the context of our class, this. So it's going to look for through our class and say, hey, we're looking for a view onClick listener. and it's going to be like, oh, we implemented that, and we can use the onClick method. So now this button is going to refer to this onClick method that we set up, and we got that because we implemented it, and then it's going to give us some data for which view was pressed, and if it's the check command ID, it's going to do basically what we set up in our onClick listener before. So again, all we have to do is just type this as well, and look how much cleaner our onCreate method is. Basically, it's only 3 lines of code, and then it refers to either our onClick method or our bacon and eggs method. So that's kind of how Java programming works for the most part. You guys can implement methods, and that way it kind of cleans up the code. And we're just going to check and make sure this works, as always, because it's good to check and check frequently for the most part. So hopefully you guys understood that tutorial for the most part. Again, it's just about implementing for the most part, and when we implement, we have to use all the methods from that class. So this class only has one method, which is called onClick. So again, we're just going to make sure it works by typing WTF, and it looks like it's good. So thanks again for watching, guys. We're going to be kind of implementing some more stuff as we go, but we're going to create a new application in the next tutorial. So thanks again, and have a good day. What's up, guys? Welcome to your 35th Android tutorial, and for the new boss. And again, my name's Travis. What we're going to do in this tutorial is basically set up our next application. So we're going to create a new XML file by going right-clicking, File, New, Other, and then Android XML file. You guys should be familiar with this. We're going to call it Email XML. Finish. And basically, I'm trying to think of some new things I can introduce you guys to with the XML so it doesn't get boring. What we're going to do is we're going to add some edit text, plain text. And you're like, what? This isn't new. You are lame. Which is fine, but what I'm actually going to introduce you guys to is something called a scroll view. So add about 6, 6 is good. 6 edit text, and then we're going to add a text view above each one. Nothing too awesome here. And then we're also going to add, let's see, the date and time thing. We're going to add an analog clock right here, just because we can. Now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of separate some of this code with some linear layouts. So I don't know what that statement is. Alright, and so first we're going to break it into some linear layouts. Oh, also we're going to add a button. Regular button right after our edit text, or our last edit text. And there we go, and then we're going to separate these with 3 linear layouts. So I'm going to set up a linear layout. Again, nothing new for the most part. Linear layout, and we're going to close this statement off here and delete it here, and then just set it up. Android. Basically, I'm going to copy and paste the same setup here. It's going to be vertical orientation. Again, nothing new for you guys. And match parent. And then we're also going to just copy and paste this for edit button. For a button, I mean, just for a 1 button class. And then we're also going to copy and paste it for the analog clock as well. And we're going to change all these, the height to them for... Actually, before we do that, we're going to go into add our scroll view. So right here, this top linear layout, this is where we're going to add our scroll view. And basically, the scroll view will allow us to scroll through all of our items within the linear view below. The scroll view has to have a linear view for the most part within its parameters, so we're just going to add a scroll view. Again, Android layout width equals fill parent, and Android layout height is going to equal fill parent as well. Alright, so we have our scroll view set up, and we want to wrap our linear view. So we're going to copy this line and paste it below this linear view. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set up all of these other linear views that we set up to have fill parent for the height as well, and then we're going to use the weight method that we're familiar with. whoops. So kind of a boring tutorial, just get everything set up and introduce you guys to the scroll view for the most part and the analog clock, which I just threw that in there randomly. So there we go, we basically have that set up, and now we're going to add the weight to our top or main linear layout that holds everything else. So we're going to say Android weight sum equals 100, and let's say we're going to give this scroll view weight layout weight, and oops, I was afraid that was going to happen. Okay, layout weight equals, let's say, like I don't know, 20, 30. Let's do 30. Sorry. And then we're going to give this, we're just going to copy this line here. We're also going to add some weight to this linear layout that holds our button, and we're going to give this one 40, and then also this last linear layout we're going to give 30 as well. So 30 plus 40 plus 30 is 100, which we want, and let's check it out. That's pretty good for the most part. I'm also going to basically have this analog clock fill parent for the width and the height, and you know, set this button up to center, but you guys don't really need to know that. As you can see, we only have 3 text views, but you'll be able to scroll through these text views when our application works. So there you go, that's kind of introducing you guys to the scroll view. I know we went quickly, but hopefully it wasn't too complicated. Basically all you need to know is a scroll view takes a linear view within its parameters, and make sure the linear view that's within the parameters is set to vertical orientation so you can scroll vertically. So thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next tutorial. What's up, guys? Welcome to your 36th Android tutorial for the new Boston, again with me, Travis. And what we're going to do in this tutorial is basically set up our Java class and get everything going. And I know it'd be pretty tedious to do it within the video, because that'd just be a waste of time, and you guys already know how to do it. So basically what I've done is I've added the source code to my website, and you guys can just copy and paste. And also what I've done is I've changed this XML, so I've added some IDs to each of these text views, added an ID to the button, and also changed, or to the edit text, I'm sorry, and then also I've changed the text views to some certain text. So what I want you guys to do first is create our new class by right clicking on our package name, and then new class, and you guys have to call this class. If you haven't been following along in the previous examples, you want to follow this one exactly, because we're just going to copy and paste the code. So type this one as email with a capital E, hit OK, and we're just going to get this email class set up real quick. So what we want to do first is, if my computer will load here, what we're going to do is open up our menu class and change the example 3 to email, again to match your class name. We also need to set up in the manifest. I know I said I wouldn't show you guys that again, but since this is just a tutorial where I'm going to walk you through the code that I've already set up, might as well walk you through manifest again. So we're just going to copy and paste this last activity called text play and change it to email, so the manifest realizes our email class. Save that, and then open up your email XML, go into the source code, and we're just going to copy and paste. So again, my website is mybringback.com. Once you guys go there, go to the tutorial section, and as that loads, over here on the left side under the Android, there should be the new Boston Android series. Click on that, and you guys have the XML and the Java for this tutorial, because again, it's not too important. So click the XML, grab that, and copy it all, and then paste it into your XML here. If you guys get an error, like if you save it after you got done copying and pasting, basically you're going to get error like this if this line is not on your first line of code. So make sure there's no spaces above that first line, and then just save it, and it should get rid of that error. Now within the open up your email Java class, and what we're going to do is delete the public class here, because that's what I've included. You guys want to keep your package name And then we're going to go back to where I said the tutorial section on my website and click the email.java, and again grab everything that's available here. And I know there's a lot, but it's pretty simple. Pretty much all stuff we've gone through already. I'm going to walk through what the code is exactly after we set this up. So then just paste it there, hit save, and then I'm going to walk you through what I've set up. So basically what I've set up is all of our edit text, because we had 6 edit texts within our XML file. I just kind of added some reference to those. We also created 6 strings. Basically the string is going to be getting the text from our edit text and converting it to a string for the most part, and then it's set to a string variable. And we also label the button, since we have a button within our application, that's going to send an email. So then we go to the onCreate method. It sets the content view to that XML layout called email that we set up, and then it initializes the variables. So we created a new method like I showed you guys in the last tutorial called initialized variables. Set that up and basically adds a reference or a bridge over to the XML like we always do. That's all that method's going to do. Pretty simple. And then basically we also implemented the onClick listener, so that's going to add the onClick method right here. And then so we set our button up equal to that onClick listener that we implemented. So what that onClick listener is going to do, because now it's going to shoot down to that onClick listen method, what that's going to do is going to I also created this method to basically grab all the text from the edit views and convert it to the string variables we set up. So it's going to do this method called convert edit text variables into strings, and yes, this is a method we created. And so that's going to shoot us down to this new method right here that I just created off, whatever. And again, that's going to take our edit text variables, these are our string variables on the left. And then it's going to take an edit text, and then it's going to get the text and set it to a string. We've done that before. Basically all this stuff for the most part we've done. There's not too much new, but just so you guys don't get confused, I'm walking through everything. That's going to do that for all of our string variables that we want to set up. And basically what this application is going to do, it's going to send a hateful email. Because if you guys like sending hateful emails, I know on my tutorial series I sometimes get some hate mail. So if you guys want to send me some hate mail, here's a pretty good application that we're going to build to send that. So there we go. We set up some string variables, basically just according to our whatever's in the edit text that coincides with that variable. And then we're going to go back to our onClick method, because after that's done, after that method gets called, it's going to read this next method, which is going to be our email address. And this is the string variable that we set up right here, but we need an email, or a string array I should say, for sending the email, or what we're going to build here. So basically that's going to just create an array out of a single string for the most part. Again, you guys should be kind of familiar with that as well. And then within this onClick method, it's also going to create a message. So it's going to say, well, hello, and then it's going to take the variable, which is a string variable we set up here according to the edit text. And so it's going to say like, hello, Travis, or whatever that is. And then that's, again, this is stuff that we've done before, not too difficult, but it's just going to say, well, hello in text, and then say plus, and then a variable plus within quotations, so some more text, plus another variable, string variable that we set up, plus, etc. And again, this is all just basically one line of code, so we have to finish off our statement right here. The only new thing within this basically message variable, or the string message, that's new, is we added this line right here, which will basically, that's basically like the return button when you're typing a message, like, hey there, and then just hit, basically if you add this line within single quotations, it's going to start a new line for the most part, so it's going to be like PS dot I think I love you or whatever. So there we go. That's basically a walkthrough of what I've done, and hopefully that gets you set up. And the only other thing we did is I added an on pause method as well. That's just going to finish the activity once this goes on pause. So hopefully you guys kind of understand what this Java class is. I didn't want to type it all out because I figured there's nothing new that we've done for the most part, but it's a good I mean, if you guys want to create this yourself, it'd be a good kind of learning thing to do as homework for the most part. If you don't want to copy and paste and try and set it up yourself, go ahead. That'd be a great activity for you. But I just didn't want to waste time within this series just setting up a lot of stuff that we already know how to do. Again, this still might not be perfectly clear in your mind, so if you guys study this text as well, you'll be able to break it down for the most part. So that's why I created that for you. So again, thanks for watching, guys. In the next tutorial, we'll actually get into how to send an email and how to use an intent to open up the kind of default email of the person's phone. So thanks again for watching. I'll catch you guys in that tutorial. Have a good one. What's up, guys? Welcome to your 37th Android tutorial for the new Boston to finish up our email Java class. And you know, thinking about it now, this application is, for the most part, is pretty pointless. You don't learn a lot of new stuff. But what we are going to learn is sending an email using kind of the default email from the Android phone. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that through our button. So when our button's clicked, it's going to call this onClick method, and it's going to set up this message, etc. So we're going to go below where the message is set up. And again, what we're going to do is start an activity, but we're going to use, instead of an intent for a class that we already have, we're going to use the intent that basically is going to reference the phone for the email. So start up an email application. And so what we're going to do, first what we're going to do is set up an intent, just like we set up all other types of intents for the most part. And so we're going to say intent, and we're going to call this email intent, something like that, and hit enter. And then just again, we have to import the intent and say new intent, just like always. And this time what we're going to put in the parameters is we're going to reference something from the Android SDK, and it's going to be called Android content dot intent dot action send. And you have some of these other actions that you can call, such as like action answer, call, like if you're going to call someone for the most part. And again, you can click on them and see what they do. I just wanted to show you guys that we can use some intents to start up some applications that the phone has. And this one, what we're going to call, or basically this one is going to be called action send. It's going to deliver some data to someone, as you can see. So we're going to pick that and just end the closing statement. And now what we're going to do is add some stuff to this intent to make it unique. So what we're going to add is basically the email we're sending it to first. So we're going to reference our variable that we set up, email intent dot, and then we say put extras, because we're going to put some extra stuff in there. And as you can see, most of these have two things within the parameters: a string name, which again is going to reference something from the SDK, and then the data we want to pass through there. So we're just going to click on one of these, and for the first one, again, it's kind of a string reference, and again we're say Android content dot intent dot extra email. And I'm just going to scroll through here. Basically what this action name is basically going to refer to what email we're sending to. And again, it's going to take, or for this one, it's going to take a string array. So that's why we had to create this string array right here, even though we're using just one string for the most part. So this has to be a string array, otherwise it's not going to work. And so we're going to use this variable we set up called email address, and then end our statement. Let's put some other things within this email. So we're going to say email intent, adding to the intent again by saying put extras, or put extra. And we're going to now add, like, basically, you know, the subject of the email, and we're going to say Android again dot content dot intent. And again, like, if you guys ever want to build a, you know, an email address, for the most part you probably aren't going to remember all these action names, so we're just again building kind of a reference pack that you guys can use later. So we're going to say now is extra subject, because it's going to be the subject of the email, and we're going to say I hate you, something like that. Make it nice and friendly. And what else can we do? Or we're going to add our actual message and put that within the actual body of the email. So again, put extra, and this time we're going to say Android content dot intent, and this time it's going to be called extra text. And as for the value, we're going to use this message or this string that we set up where it covers basically all of our variables and stuff. So we're just going to say message. Again, our string values. And also what we want to do before this line, I just realized, is we want to set the kind of the typeface for the most part, kind of tell it what kind of type we want. So again, we're just going to say Android intent dot set type, and we're going to say within quotations plain / text in quotations, and that'll kind of set it to plain type text. There we go. We've pretty much set up our intent now. It's going to pass on for the most part, or put extras within the whatever email we want to send it to, give it a subject, and also give it the actual message. And then all we have to do is say start activity. And then what intent do we want to start? We want to start up this intent that we've been kind of defining. So there we go. That's basically the end of the tutorial, and our application is done. I'll show you guys what it looks like. It's not going to run on the emulator because I'll explain that in the video. What's up, guys? So here's our application. I'm just going to open it up, and as you can see, there's text down here, so that's why it's all kind of squished right here. But we have a scroll view for the most part. We're going to put in an email and test it out. My email, if you guys want to send me one, is travis@mybringback.com, just to make sure it works. And then hateful intro, we're just going to say you're a douche. I know it's supposed to be apostrophe ER, but who cares? Most hateful people don't really care about grammar. So person's name, we're going to say Travis, and that's spelled wrong as well. Who cares? Stupid things that this person does. Make tutorials, I should say. What you want this person to do, cry, and hateful outro, later, loser. Alright, so basically we filled in all our parameters, and now when we hit this button, it's going to start the email intent, which is going to look like this. Let me see if I can focus it. And so it's going to select all the email applications that the user has on their phone. That's why we can't use the emulator, because there's no email actions for the most part, and you have to have basically be signed into email, because you have to send this email from a certain email address as well. So I'm just going to click Gmail, and look, it fills out our body. It has the subject I hate you, and where basically which email we're sending to from right there. And that's an easy way to send hate mail for the most part. If you guys want, it just says, hello Travis, I wanted to say that you're a douche. Not only that, but I hate when you make tutorials. That just makes me really makes me crazy. I just want to make you cry. Well, that's about all I wanted to chit chatter about. Oh, and later, loser. Oh, also, if you get bored, you should check out mybringback.com. P.S. I think I love you. So it's kind of a weird thing, and obviously, sorry, I was having trouble reading that because I was trying to look at my camera and at my phone at the same time. But alright, anyways, so that's the end of this tutorial, guys. Have a good one. Peace. And just to show you, it's sending a message as well. What's up, guys? Welcome to your 38th Android tutorial for the new Boston. Again, it's me, Travis. What we're going to do in this tutorial, or what we're going to start building in the next few tutorials, is basically an application that we can use the camera's phone, or the phone's camera, and then set that picture that we capture up to the phone's background or wallpaper of the actual phone. So it's going to be a pretty cool little application for the most part. But as always, we're going to have to set up the XML layout, and we're going to introduce a few new items within the XML layout. So we're going to say other Android XML file, and we're going to call this photo. All lowercase. Again, every time you guys make an XML or anything under a resource folder, again, lowercase. Hopefully you guys know that by now. And that's crazy. XML. I don't know, for some reason when I use the screen capture my computer is super slow, but what we're going to add in this tutorial is basically we're going to add 2 buttons and first an image view for the most part. So that's going to kind of give us where we're going to get our image back from. And it gives you a couple default items that you can set it up to start with. See, I usually don't use the drag and drop, so I was kind of wondering what this is. But yeah, we're going to start with the icon, the default image that they give us, just, you know, for simplicity's sake. And then we're going to go in and add 2 buttons. One to access the phone, and actually I'm trying to think what we can do that's different. You can add an image button as well. We're going to throw one of those in there and hit OK. So as you can see, the image button kind of adds an image within there if you want, and then when you click that, we're going to take a picture, and then when we click this button, it's going to set the picture to the paper, or to the wallpaper for the most part. So I mean, nothing too new, but a little bit. So let's change the width and the height of our image view to like something like 250 dp for both the width and the height. Change your image button, let's say the width to like 125 dp, wrap content, and then our button will say 125 as well. Now let's just change the references real quick. Image view, so IV for image view, and we're going to call this returned picture, because once our camera takes a picture, it's going to return that picture and set it as that image view. And then let's go to our image button, IB for image button, and we're going to say take picture, take pic, something like that. And lastly, just a regular button, let's say set wallpaper, and change the button text for the most part to set wallpaper as well. So nothing too new in this tutorial. As you can see, the image view is new. I guess we could probably oh, I must have set the height, so I'm going to change that real quick. You guys probably noticed that as I was doing it, and then you're like, oh, you're an idiot, Travis. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Just kidding. But there we go. Hopefully that looks a little bit better. Maybe we want to center this, so we're just going to say Android layout gravity equals centered, and just copy that code and paste it for all these other ones as well. So not too pretty there for that, but you know, basically that should work for the most part. Yeah, that should work. So that's basically the setup for the XML, and then we're going to get into our programming in the next few tutorials and finish this up. But again, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a good one. What's up, guys? Welcome to your 39th Android tutorial for the new Boston. What we're going to do in this tutorial is basically set up a new class. As you can see, I've already done it for the most part. And what we're going to do is call this class Camera. And again, what I want you guys to do is go into your menu class, change one of those string variables to our class name Camera, and then also set it up in the manifest. Now, I've basically set up this sorry, I'm cleaning up some stuff that I was just practicing. I make sure I got this application set up right for the most part. I basically set up the general setup for any activity that we have set up so far. I created the onCreate method, and then I set the content view to that XML layout we just set up, and I also initialized or created this method called initialize. That's where I set up all my references, and I also set up my onClick listeners. Now as you can see, I said this, so we need to implement and create an on-click method for the most part. I just wanted to show you guys that because you guys might have some trouble setting that up. For the most part, I've gotten emails sometimes when I do tutorials like this. So again, we say implement view.onClickListener, and we try and import that for the most part, and it's giving us an error and we can't do anything. We're like, what's going on? What I like to do is just basically type out view for the most part, and then let's see if I can import it like that. Yeah, just hover over it after you type view within your actual class. Then you just hit import view, delete this here, and then it's pretty much good to go. If not, it'll just ask you to change this to onClickListener and delete the view sometimes. But hopefully that's good to go. I just want to show you guys that that's how you get rid of that error for the most part. And now we can say add unimplemented methods, and I just copied and pasted because I set up basically a switch that would take in, well, I need to change it now, take in the view that was pressed, get the ID, and determine whether it is the set wallpaper button or again the take the picture button. So basically same kind of setup we've done already, but now what we're going to do is we're going to basically get our application to take a picture and return some data. So what we want to do is we're going to kind of use the same process that we did for our, I forgot what we made for our email application. So we're going to open an intent, and we're going to set that intent equal to basically the camera application. So we're going to say we're going to define our intent up above our classes so we can use it in multiple methods. So we're going to say intent I is what we're going to call this intent, and then within the take picture switch in case that you guys will set up, just hit I equals new intent, just like we've always done. And basically the camera application is in our manifest. We don't see it, but it has an action name. So we're going to refer to the action name of the camera by going android.provider media store. Basically all our media is within the media store package or class. Then we hit dot and we have some choices. We can either get a camera capture, or I'm sorry, a image capture or video capture for action. So we're going to use image capture because we're going to take a picture and then try and get that data back. So now what we need to do is basically start our intent. So we're going to say start activity, but we want it to return some data to us for the most part. We want to get the picture that was taken. So instead of just saying start activity, we're going to say start activity for result. And this is an actual method. I didn't make this one up. It kind of looks like something I make up. But we're going to start an activity for a result. And then within the brackets, what we're going to do is we're going to set up our intent, and then we're going to hit a comma and basically set up a variable that we're going to collect that's going to collect the data. And it's going to be an integer type variable. So we're going to say camera data is what we're going to call this variable, and we're going to set this up since we don't have a variable yet called camera data. We're going to again set this up above our classes. So we're going to say int for integer and camera data, and we're actually going to set this equal to 0. And you guys also need to say final static, which will basically mean it's going to stay. I mean, don't worry about that again. That's for Java for the moment. But basically we set up an integer variable that's equal to 0, and then we're going to start an activity for the result and pass in an intent, which will be opening our camera activity, and then we're going to get some data back from the most part. I'll show you guys how to get that data back in the next tutorial. Hope you guys watch and enjoy. So have a good one, and see you then. What's up, guys? Welcome to the big 4-0 for the new Boston, again with me, Travis. What we're going to do in this tutorial is basically kind of get the result of our intent that we're starting an activity for, and setting our image view equal to the picture that we take. So what we're going to do is we're going to go below this bracket. I don't even know if you have to, but basically we're going to use a method from the activity class called onActivityResult, and that's going to basically allow us to get the data, make sure it's okay, and then we're going to set up our image view within this method. So again, we're just going to right click, go to Source, Override, Implement Methods, and we're going to scroll down for onActivityResult. onActivityResult, and it gives us some information. Again, it's going to pass in an int, another int, and the intent. So we're going to add that method, and it's going to be added right here, and it just again gave us some data. One is a request code, one is a result code, and one is they labeled them that, and one's called labeled data. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go within this method, and this might be kind of confusing, but I'm going to do another little application about kind of passing information between two activities, so it'll kind of sink in a little bit better. But what we're going to say if, and then within quotations, result code, which again is the information they gave us right here. We're just going to check out if it's okay, if we actually got some information from that activity that we started. Because whenever we use this start activity for result, we also want to have this method on activity result, and then it's going to give us some information. Hey, did it turn out okay? For the most part, and then it's going to give us some data if it did. So what we're going to do is say if it turned out okay for the most part, and we can use a control or a little variable for the method, or like a method or something called result okay. And then we're just going to add some brackets, and if everything's okay, as you can see, if you hover over it, it says standard activity result, operation succeeded. So basically we're checking if the operation succeeded, and then if it did, we're going to try and set up some stuff. If it didn't, it's not going to set up anything. So that's kind of a safety. Basically we add this if statement for some safety. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get the information. So we're going to say bundle, which is a bundle variable, and we're going to call this E for like extras. Actually, I'll just type it out because it might make a little bit more sense. We're going to say E extras, then we're going to reference this intent that it passed in. So we're going to say intent, which was labeled data, then we're going to say dot get extras. And basically when we start our camera activity, when it closes, it's going to put extras, just like we did with our email activity, because when we set up our intent, we put some extras in there, and then the next activity got those extras. That's what we're kind of doing. We're doing the back side of it. This time, instead of putting extras, we're getting some extras. So we're basically just going to collect the extras from the data or the intent that was passed in through this method, and it's going to be of the type bundle. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set up a bitmap based on that bundle. So we're going to say, or actually we need to set up the bitmap for a whole class again, so we're just going to scroll up and type bitmap like that, and then create the import our bitmap class so we can use that. Then scroll back down, and now we're going to set up that bitmap variable. We're going to say bitmap is equal to, and then within parentheses bitmap, and then we're going to say extras, which is basically this bundle. Extras dot get, and then within quotations we're going to say data. And that is a key. Basically, I'll show you guys how to set up. We're going to set up keys and pass those keys through. But basically, for the most part, it's just the key reference, and it's called data. So for the most part, you don't really need to know what that is at the moment, because we're going to jump into this whole idea, this whole concept of passing data between activities one more time in the future for this series. So don't worry too much if you guys are getting confused with this, because we're going to break it down even more. Just wanted to show you guys how we can get some extras from an activity, and then we're going to set up a bitmap based off of those extras. And when we put it in parentheses, it's basically saying we're looking for a bitmap type object or whatever. So there we go. We're set up our bitmap. All we have to do now is say IV for our image view that we set up in. This is the image view of our XML, and we referenced it in Java, and we called it IV for image view. And then we're just going to say set image bitmap. So there we go. As you can see, it takes a bitmap within its parameters. So we're going to set this bitmap equal to the bitmap we just got right here. So we're going to say BMP, and then we're good to go. It should set our picture. I'm going to run it. I'm not positive if it'll work on the emulator, but if not, I'll show you guys on my phone in the next tutorial when we actually complete this whole application. So, and again, I know this might have been confusing, the whole data passing stuff, but hopefully some of you guys caught on to it for the most part. And again, we'll review it. So when we hit this button, it goes to the on-click listener, and then it opens our camera activity. What? Opens our camera activity. We can take a picture. What? What? Alright, well, hopefully we can get this resolved in the next tutorial where we'll finish our application and everything. So I'll see you guys then. Sorry if it was confusing and it didn't work for the most part, but I'll catch you guys then. Have a good one.